So we're on the banks of the North Thompson River, just below our main village. Across the river, there's a series of small islands here that our members used to go and hunt. I remember going across the river to pick berries with my grandfather. There used to be lots of wild strawberries. And of course, fishing on the river.
Where we are standing right now is a summer village of the Tsleil-Waututh people, Hwayawachin, which means facing the wind. Tsleil-Waututh means people of the inlet, so we come from the inlet.
This is Lac St. Anne, and many generations of my grandparents are from here. And so many of them are buried here at the parish. And so this has been our home for, close to 200 years.
No one knows our place better than our people. For far too long, Indigenous peoples have not been a part of any kind of regulatory regime.
It used to be that our communities would be on the outside of the gates, looking in, wondering.
The IAMC itself, the idea of it, brought us together into a room, really, honestly, for the very first time.
We see this as an opportunity to open those doors and start that dialogue.
That gate's been opened. We're now on the inside and not wondering anymore, because we're there on the ground and at the table, and there's more transparency, which allows us to achieve greater trust in the system. The IAMC is a committee consisting of 6 federal departments and representatives from 129 Indigenous communities that are located along the pipeline route. And our sole mission is to really build relationships together so that we can improve outcomes for Indigenous communities, to enhance the safety of the pipeline, and to enhance the safety of the environment.
The committee has an opportunity to truly move us forward as it relates to reconciliation, including Indigenous people in the regulatory process, in decision-making, in advice to government, and how we can do things better.
One of the things that really struck me from the outset is, I thought the issues we were having and the concerns we were having were just ours, we thought. And quickly you come to realize that, we all had very similar concerns. And for the first time, we were able to be in a room and actually voice those concerns together.
We're here at the table protecting our Indigenous rights and interests. So it's a great opportunity, I feel, for the federal government to work with the Indigenous groups to help incorporate or weave in, our Indigenous laws.
One of the biggest impacts of our Indigenous monitoring program is by having our monitors out on the field, observing how the project has impacted the lands and the waters in our communities. We're able to point out and say, here's this impact, here's why it matters to us, here's what we need to do differently to protect and prevent the same thing from happening again. And the CER kind of had an aha moment to say, wow, our systems haven't been working the way we thought they were. Now what do we need to do to make this better? And sitting down at the table with us to work through updated guidelines, protocols, policies to strengthen the system, to better protect Indigenous rights and sites of significance has been a tremendous accomplishment of our work together.
Natural Resources Canada comes to the table along with Transport Canada, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Canadian Coast Guard, Environment and Climate Change Canada, as well as Canada Energy Regulator.
There's a lot to be proud of. I think the work that's being done jointly in terms of policy and advice on matters related to socioeconomic impacts, matters related to emergency management, marine shipping, and specifically some of the work that's been done jointly on policy co-development, identifying improvements to how monitoring programs work for both the regulator and the company would definitely be among my top highlights in terms of our work with the committee.
Yeah, the relationship between Trans Mountain and CER and the communities have changed to, I would think, for the better, because we've developed those relationships. Those individual federal families are getting to know those communities and who to reach out to and developing those relationships.
For me personally and for us as an organization, really understanding the importance of spending time on building that relationship and building trust so that there's around the table confidence that we're working together with a shared goal in mind and that we're able to manage those complexities and difficulties as they arise, because there is much more in common around that table than what would divide us.
When we started in 2017, we really truly were advisory and monitoring. But since 2017, expanding on the relationships that we've built, the trust that we've built, and the learnings that we've acquired, we have moved to a place now where we're achieving that longer term vision in small incremental steps to be at the table and be a part of the decision making around the project.
One of the beliefs I came with when I started this process was that Indigenous community monitors could show a high degree of expertise and knowledge in the field. And one of our proudest achievements as a caucus is showing that our monitors can be just as good or better than anyone else. They're not there in some token capacity. They're there showing technical and Indigenous expertise in the field and proving that we belong as part of the process.
Obviously, communities have their own initiatives that they're undertaking as well to enhance oversight, but I think working together, we're able to bring to bear more information to communities. We're able to kind of engage with the regulator, with the company. I think communities are still wanting to do a lot more. We really do need that commitment, and communities need that funding to be able to move down that road.
We really need to identify gaps and deficiencies that are there within the regulatory space, particularly as it relates to Indigenous communities and our rights, title, interests, sites of significance. And really over the next few years, we're hoping to see continuing advancement in that space so that our issues as communities are addressed, and that on the regulatory side, they can see enhanced trust in the process.
We know that there's a lot of work ahead of us to do Indigenous monitoring in a marine environment where our focus today has been in a terrestrial environment. And so there's going to be a tremendous shift in the next couple of years to turn our attention to the marine space.
I'm excited about what the opportunities are for the committee when we look to the future. The Government of Canada is committed to the life cycle of the project. What we've learned throughout this last 5 years will contribute to post-construction and the work moving forward. What we know is there's going to be a need for continuing oversight and monitoring as we look to post-construction activities.
Like my grandfather always taught me, we'd sit at his kitchen table looking over this beautiful inlet. You could see Capitol Hill and Burnaby Mountain and the city of Vancouver, and he would say, they're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We have to find a way to coexist. Doesn't mean our ways are better or their ways are better. We have to find a way to work together. And that's what I aim to do. That's what we all do here as the Indigenous Caucus. We're trying to find this way that we could coexist together, that we could work together, because we're not going anywhere.